Okay, this is Miss Clark, and this is our Unit 3 test review for you taking the retake. Alright, so our first question here is find the greatest common factor, or GCF, of 8x to the third y to the second plus 20x squared y to the fourth. Okay, so now let's look at our whole numbers first. What number, well 8 will not divide into 20, but what is a whole number that would go into both of those? And I believe both of them can be divided by 4. So I'm going to write 4 right there. Okay? And then as x's, I can pull out an x squared, and then they both share a y, and they both share a y squared. Okay? So that is the greatest common factor. Okay? So move up a little bit. Alright. Now we're going to create a perfect square trinomial. We're going to take this off. A perfect square trinomial, okay? So, the way perfect square trinomials work, we need two factors. So, I've decided I'm going to have 2x be one of my factors, and then I'm going to have 6 be my other factor. Okay? So, I'm going to take this one first, and I'm going to square it. So, 2 squared is 4, and x squared is x squared. Okay? Then my last number, I need to square 6, which is 36. And now we need to get our middle number. So this is a positive 36. So I do 6 times 2x, which would be 12x. And then I'm going to multiply that by 2. And that gives me positive 24x. So now I have a perfect square trinomial. And its factors would be 2x, this tells me the sign, plus 6 squared. And those are the factors. Alright, let's take a look at number 3, where we're going to factor this trinomial. Alright, so is there any number that I could take out of all of those? Everything but the last one seems like it could be... There's nothing I can factor out of everything, but if I look, I realize that 4p squared is a perfect square. The square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of p squared is p. Okay, this tells me my my sign, so it's going to be positive. And then I have 25q squared, and the square root of 25 is 5. The square root of q squared is q. And so now just to check to make sure that my middle number is correct, this is a perfect square trinomial, I will multiply these two together. 5q times 2p gives me 10pq, okay? And then I'm going to multiply that by 2, which gives me 20pq, which is my middle number. So that means these are my factors. It's a perfect square trinomial, and those are the factors. And you can also check it by foiling it. Just to be sure, write 2p plus 5q. Okay? And then you would do your first, which gives you 4p squared. And then your outside, which gives you plus 10pq. Alright, inside, plus 10pq. Last gives us 25q squared. Combine our like terms, 4p squared plus 20pq plus 25q squared. Okay, so that works. So those are our factors. Alright, here is another one we're going to factor. X squared minus 13x plus 12. And we're going to look at C, and we're going to write all the factors of C. So 1 and 12 and negative 1 and negative 12 also make 12 2. 2 and 6 and negative 2 and negative 6. 3 and 4, negative 3 and negative 4. And I believe that's all of them. Alright, so now I'm looking for the factors that will add up to negative 13x. So negative 1 plus negative 12 gives me negative 13. So my factors are x minus 1 and x minus 12. So those are the factors. Now I've factored it, okay? Notice the difference between factor and solve, and we'll learn that in just a second. Okay, so now this is also a perfect square, the difference of squares. So we know the difference of squares has two factors, okay? The first one is the square root of the first number, which is 2m to the fourth. Okay, one's a positive and one's a negative. Square root of 25 is 5. Alright, and can I factor this any further? No. So those are my factors. Alright, now this one's a little different. It doesn't say factor, it says to solve, but in order to solve, I have to factor first. Okay, so I'm going to list all of the factors of negative 6, negative 1 and 6, or 1 and negative 6, negative 2 and 3, or 2 and negative 3, and I believe that's it. And then we need them to add up to positive 5, and that would be this one. Negative 1 plus 6 is a positive 5. So my factors are x minus 1 and x plus 6. Alright, now to solve this, so I've factored, now I have to solve. So x minus 1 equals 0 and x plus 6 equals 0. Add 1 to both sides here. X equals 1. That's one of my solutions. Subtract 6 from both sides here, and x equals negative 6. Okay? Alright. Oh, and the code word for your retake is factor. Alright, last two problems. Alright, so when we have this squared, there's a certain special thing we can do. We can take the square root of both sides, okay? So that leaves us with 2x plus 2 equals the square root of 36, which is 6. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides. That gives me 2x equals 4. Divide by 2. X equals 2. Alright, and now let's talk about the discriminant. How do we find the discriminant? First we need our formula. Minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? This part right in here is the discriminant. And remember, this is where we get our a, b, and c from our quadratic. A is here, b, c, so we take any quadratic, plug it into here, and find the discriminant. Alright, good luck taking your retest.